this. Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Kaylee, and this is a vlog series that I started tracking my postpartum journey. If you're new here and wanting to catch up on what I've been doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing, you can watch my very first vlog video starting off this training that I'm doing up above. And before we get into this week's video, if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video. So I am officially 8 weeks into this new training. Things have been going really well. I did hit a little bit of a plateau around week 6, and so I decided to change things up. Before, I was doing 3 days a week where I was practicing my core lifts, and it was like a power program strengthening my body, and it really worked. But I just kind of started to feel really worn down. My body was feeling those workouts and not in a good way. So I decided to kind of back off of that. I'm still doing my core lifts and working on strength training. And then during the rest of the week, I do cardio and a workout of the day from the Street Parking app. I was starting to feel like I wasn't leaning out as fast as I would like. I've lost all of my pregnancy weight. However, I still want to lean out and gain some muscle. So that's the overall goal. So yes, technically weight loss is the goal. It's more fat loss. I'm not really worried about what the scale says. I actually don't own a scale. So I've just been tracking my progress with how my clothes fit, measurements, things like that. And I will be doing a physique update so you can see the difference between week 1 and week 8. So in order to lean out, I know my body loves cardio. I don't necessarily love to do it. So I started doing about 20 or 30 minutes of cardio every day, Monday through Friday. I always take Saturday and Sundays off as my rest day, but that seems to be working. That kind of kicked me back into high gear. So Monday through Friday, do 20 to 30 minutes on the bike as soon as I get up in the morning. Then after Bennett goes down for his first nap, I go into the garage and do a workout of the day. So that's my strength portion. So it's a combination of cardio and weights being my main focus because I want to continue to build muscle. I think that's everything as far as like updating what I've changed. My macros are still the same. You guys know I've struggled with disordered eating in the past. I did a vlog recently about my past with the disordered eating, how I overcame that, and kind of how that led me to become a certified nutritionist and to pursue a degree in nutrition and food science. If you would like to watch that video, I've linked that below. I've really worked very hard over a year to get out of that disordered eating mindset and get back into healthy living. I really feel like I've been able to live my life balanced through these last 8 weeks. It's been really cool to see my body change, and I'm still able to go out and enjoy time with friends, eat whatever I want on the weekends, and still see progress. So basically, I want this vlog to not only share my postpartum journey, something that I can look back on in the future and see how far I've come, but also inspire you and make you aware that you can achieve your goals without being overly restrictive. This week, we're going to be meal prepping, and I'm really excited to share all of my favorite foods. As always, this video is going to feature a workout, so as soon as I'm done with this intro, we'll roll into that. Basically, the rundown of this week's video is we're going to go through a workout, then I'll share with you what I'm doing as far as eating foods that make me feel lean. Please keep in mind that there is no special food that will make you lose fat faster. It's all about being in caloric deficit. I think that covers everything in this week's intro, so let's roll into the workout. So as far as today goes, got up, did 20 minutes on the bike. I'm going to do this workout of the day. It's supposed to be like a short one. It's 16 minutes, and it's an EMOM, meaning every minute on the minute for 16 minutes, but it's every other minute. So the first minute, you have to do a 100-meter farmer's carry, carrying 25-pound dumbbells or 25-pound plates. I'm going to be doing plates since I don't have dumbbells, and then with the remainder time in that minute, you're going to be doing air squats. So hopefully that makes sense. So let's get into this workout. obviously I had made some adjustments during that workout because I got through the first 2 rounds and I just was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. The time frame that they gave me didn't work for the workout. So I had to like stop everything and go back to the Wodify app and look up the workout and just clarify, because mom brain, and sometimes I read something and I think it says one thing and it actually said something totally different. So that was the case here. It was a 16-minute EMOM, but it was every 2 minutes. So what you did is the first minute, or however long it took within the 2 minutes, you did the 100-meter farmer's carry, and then with the remainder 2 minutes, whatever time you had left over, you did air squats. So that makes way more sense. So I made that clarification in the description box. And then I also noted that it said if you don't have dumbbells, you can always do plates, which those are really difficult to carry. Or it said you can take a 25-pound plate and carry it over your head. So that's what I chose to do because it was just easier to hold on to. However, I do feel like it was harder and my shoulders are on fire. I'm gonna go inside, refuel with protein shake, shower, do all that before the baby gets up, and we'll get to meal prepping. In the intro, I mentioned I was going to be comparing week 1 progress versus week 8, but this is actually week 4 on the left. I can't find my week 1 video, so I'm still hunting for that. So week 4 is on the left. I was fasted that day. Week 8 is on the right, and I've actually eaten and had water. So I'm very pleased with the definition that I'm seeing and the progress that I've made. Okay, so typically I meal prep on Sundays. However, we've had family in town back to back, so I didn't have time this Sunday. So it's Monday. I'm going to kick the week off by getting everything prepared for Brad and I for the week. I usually prep everything for Monday through Thursday, and then Friday we just kind of wing it, or I take whatever's left over and eat that. So there's 2 ways that you can meal prep. Brad is different than I. I'm a creature of habit. I can eat the same thing over and over and over, and it doesn't necessarily bother me. However, he gets tired of the same food, so I change things up for him. So I kind of go and do both approaches to meal prepping, where I batch prep for him. So I prep a bunch of different foods for him: meat, veggies, carbohydrate sources, and he can kind of pick and choose what he eats during the week. And then for me, I portion everything out. So in this video, I'm going to share with you how I prep my proteins, my carbohydrate sources, and my vegetables for the week. One of the biggest tips that I can give you when meal prepping, in order to make this easy for yourself, is go through what you already have in your pantry. It saves you money, it helps give you ideas, and it keeps you from wasting food. So typically when making a grocery list or planning out my meals for the week, I go through my refrigerator, I go through my pantry, see what we have, and base my meals off of that. So for example, we often buy a lot of our protein sources in bulk from Sam's. So I have frozen chicken on hand, I have frozen salmon on hand, I have canned tuna, so I can kind of base our week off of those things. Once I go through my pantry, see what I have, start planning out my meals. Once I have my meals planned out, then I make my store list, go to the store, and we go from there. As I prep, I'll kind of share what my foods are going to be. Then I'll do a big umbrella overview of what I'm eating for the week. So that's how I attack grocery shopping and planning out my meals for the week. And then once I have everything home, I go ahead and kind of work down the line. Things that are going to take longer to cook is where I start first, and then I go from there. Typically, root vegetables, grains, rice, things like that take a little time to cook, so I usually start there. However, this week I'm doing something in my crock pot. I'm going to be cooking my chicken for my Hawaiian barbecue chicken bowls in my crock pot, so I started with that first. I am going to be giving full details this Friday for that recipe. It's really filling, super delicious. So I started off by prepping my chicken that's cooking in my crock pot now, and then I'm going to go and move on to the next thing. One thing I'd like to note is I did actually film this over 2 days. So like I said, we had family in town. They left later on Monday morning. We still did grocery shop like we normally do on Sunday. While everyone took their Sunday nap, I kind of got a head start on some meal prepping. So if you see my outfit change, it's because this was filmed over the course of 2 days. However, typically a Sunday, it takes me about 4 hours to get both Brad and I's meals prepped for the entire week. Like I said before, I'm starting out with whatever's going to take longest to cook, and that's going to be my chicken this week. So I'm throwing my chicken in the crock pot. I'm marinating it with my Hawaiian barbecue marinade that I made up. Full details will be on my YouTube channel this Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to tune in for that. And then I go ahead and wash all of my vegetables. I put in my description box below the veggie and fruit wash that I made up at home, and I just wash everything in that to get it really good and clean, and then I begin chopping everything up. So now that our chicken is in the crock pot, I'm going to go ahead and make my potatoes for the week. I'm using sweet potatoes and gold potatoes this week. Sweet potatoes are going to be used in my morning omelet. I love to have an egg white omelet with some veggies or sweet potatoes in the morning. It's a great way to get in some protein, also some complex carbs with my sweet potato, and just a really nice solid breakfast to have on my stomach before working out. I don't like to eat a lot before working out. It makes me feel a little nauseous, but I also feel really, zonked out if I don't eat before working out. So this is a great, little snack to have right before working out. So I typically eat an egg white omelet with some sweet potato in the morning. So I'm just going to cube these sweet potatoes up just randomly. There's no specific way. And then I'll add either some olive oil or safflower oil to them, a little bit of salt and pepper, and roast them in my oven at 425 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. Same thing goes for my gold potatoes. I'm going to be eating gold potatoes and green beans with some salmon for lunch this week. So chopping these up, gonna add some olive oil or safflower oil to them, and I will season them the same way that I do my sweet potatoes. Pro tip, if you want easy cleanup, line your baking sheets with foil. This makes everything so much easier, so much faster to clean up. So I just drizzle a little olive oil or safflower oil is what I'm using here on both potatoes, and then I add a sprinkle of salt and pepper. You can literally use anything. That's the great thing about meal prep. Just keep it clean. Add whatever seasonings you like, whatever tastes good to you, because you want to enjoy the foods that you're eating. So I'm seasoning these real simply with just some salt and pepper. With my gold potatoes, I usually do salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and a little mustard powder. Try the mustard powder. It tastes delicious. And then I toss everything, pop it in my oven at 425 degrees, and let these roast for about 30 minutes. While my potatoes are roasting, I'm moving on and cooking my cauliflower rice for my Hawaiian chicken bowls this week. The full recipe for this cilantro lime cauliflower rice will be on this week's Foodie Friday, so be sure to tune into my channel at 3 p.m. this Friday for full recipe details. Biggest tip I can give you is to just plan out how you're going to go about cooking your meal so you get things done fast and efficiently. So while all your stuff is roasting in your oven, do things on your stovetop. Cook your rice, cook your cauliflower rice, whatever on the stovetop, and this will save you time. Once my potatoes are out of the oven, I go ahead and put these in containers to stick in my fridge. For the sweet potatoes, I'm not necessarily going to portion these out into a bunch of tiny containers for my omelets in the morning. I can just quickly grab my food scale, measure out the amount that I need for my omelet, and go from there. But with my gold potatoes, I do portion these out in little meal prep containers because I'm going to add some green beans, and this will be what I eat with my salmon this week. I do not typically cook salmon or fish, in advance. I like to cook that day of. I'm weird about that. So I go ahead and portion out my vegetables with my food scale. I've linked my food scale as well as my meal prep containers below in the description box for you so you can get them there. So my potatoes are out of the oven. I've gone ahead and portioned them in my meal prep containers. My chicken is close to being done, so I'm going to shred that as soon as it's finished cooking. And now I'm about to move on to my veggies. So this week my vegetables are going to be some cauliflower rice. I'm going to use that in my Hawaiian chicken bowls, not because I'm eating low carb. You guys know I'm anti-low carb. I've actually leaned out a lot since eating higher quality carbs and actually eating more carbohydrates than I've ever eaten before. So definitely not doing the cauliflower rice as a low carb option. However, I've noticed rice lately has made me really bloated and mess with my digestive tract. So I'm opting to do cauliflower rice. I'm making up for my carbohydrate intake in other meals with all my potatoes and things like that. So I'm gonna move on to making my veggies. So Hawaiian chicken bowls, we're gonna be doing some roasted peppers and onions. I'm also gonna be sauteing some mashed chick carrots. And then I'm also doing some roasted green beans for my salmon and potato meal. Your oven is going to become your best friend when meal prepping. Literally, you can batch prep so much stuff in it. So like I said, we're about to do some veggies. I'm gonna literally roast everything in my oven. Super simple. If you have an air fryer, you can also opt to use that. I have one as well. Although I love my air fryer, it doesn't get as much as I need to get done since I'm meal prepping for Brad and I. So I'm gonna be opting to use my oven. So everything is gonna go in the oven at 425 degrees with some olive oil, salt, and pepper for about 25 minutes or until they reach the desired cooked texture that I like. Similarly to my potatoes, I'm just gonna add these green beans to a foil-lined baking dish, add some oil. I'm using olive oil here, and then I'm gonna roast these at 425 degrees for about 30 minutes. I'm just adding some salt, pepper, and a little bit of onion powder. As far as seasoning goes, just measure with your heart. Use as much as you like, flavor it how you like. There's really no way you can go wrong with this. But I just toss everything really well and pop these in my oven to cook. The chicken in my crock pot finally finished cooking, so I went ahead and shredded that up. I'm just gonna be taking the cilantro lime cauliflower rice that I made earlier and portioning it out for the next 4 days. I'm doing about a cup to a cup and a half of cauliflower rice. I honestly just made the entire large bag of cauliflower rice, and I'm just divvying it up evenly, or kind of eyeballing it for every day as even as I can. I could spend time measuring this out, but as you guys know, I struggled with disordered eating in the past. I'll kind of talk about this later on, but I just don't measure out my veggies as much. I'm not as strict on myself. But then I'm just gonna portion out my protein, which is that Hawaiian barbecue chicken, about 5 ounces per container. And then I am going to be portioning out those vegetables that we made in our oven earlier, the mashed carrots and the roasted peppers and onions. As far as like measurements and things like that go, you can get all of those details in the description box. I'll have my entire week's worth of food, including macros, in the description box below, so you can check that out there. So wrapping things up as far as meal prep goes, the green beans are out of the oven. I'm about to put them in the containers with my gold potatoes, and then I'm gonna cook my salmon and make my smoothies for the week. So I do batch prep my protein shakes for the week. All I do is just add the ingredients for 4 days worth of protein shakes, blend it up in a blender or food processor, and then I portion it out into 4 mason jars, and then I stick them in the freezer. The day that I'm ready to eat them, I'll pull them out, stick them on the counter. By the time I'm done working out, they'll be thawed out and ready to eat. So this really is super convenient. It keeps me from having to drag all of my protein shake stuff or smoothie stuff out of the freezer and making it every single day. You can pre-portion out your smoothie ingredients, stick them in the freezer, dump them into your blender and blend them if that's what you prefer. But I promise you, blending them ahead of time, they taste just as delicious and just as fresh as if you made them that second. So with just 2 things left to do, I'm going to portion out these green beans, make my salmon, and then make these protein shakes, and then we will be done meal prepping for the week. I've mentioned before that I struggled with disordered eating for a while, so part of my struggle was binge eating, and I also struggled with intuitive eating, or allowing myself to eat outside of my macros. So for a little over a year, I haven't tracked. However, I am currently tracking macros now, but I'm not letting it rule my life. So there's a huge difference in how I prep my food than the way I used to in the past. I used to not eat anything that was outside my macros. I measured literally every speck of food that I ate. So now I'm very relaxed. I do measure out my carbohydrate sources and my proteins to make sure I'm eating enough. If I go over a little bit, it's not a big deal. But things like green beans, salad mix, veggies, I just kind of measure with my eyeballs. So that's what I'm doing here. Next, we're gonna cook our salmon, and then we'll go ahead and make our protein shakes. But this is a super simple recipe. If you're one of those people that likes to have everything prepped and cooked, you can make this in bulk. However, I am one of those people that I cannot eat fish like the next day, so I usually make my salmon right before I eat it. This is super quick and simple. It literally takes 15 minutes. So I'm just brushing my salmon fillets with some olive oil. These are salmon fillets from Sam's. They're actually frozen. I just take them from the freezer, stick them in the fridge in the morning, let them defrost all day, and then I'll cook them right before I eat them. But I'm just seasoning it with some chili lime seasoning from Trader Joe's, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I'll pop these in my oven at 425 degrees for 15 minutes. It's a super simple recipe, super flavorful, and then if you take some fresh lemon juice, like a lemon wedge, and squeeze it on top right before you eat it, it is heavenly. So definitely try this recipe out. But literally from start to finish, 15 minutes and you're ready to eat. We have finally made it to the end of this meal prep video, and the last thing I'm going to share with you is how I make my protein shakes in bulk. It's super simple. So for example, I'm counting my macros right now. So every single day I do a protein shake post lift, so post weight training, and that includes a cup of frozen berries, half a cup of all natural orange juice, a half a cup of liquid egg whites for added protein, a scoop of protein powder, a scoop of greens powder, and a scoop of reds powder. So basically I add those ingredients up, multiply it by 4 because I'm making enough for 4 days, and I add everything into my food processor, or if you have a blender, do that, and I blend everything until smooth, portion it out into 16-ounce mason jars, and stick them in my freezer. It's truly that simple. So basically just adding all of my ingredients to my blender. Right now I'm using the vanilla protein powder from Sun Warrior. I also love the protein powders, the vegan protein powders from First Form. Both of those have been great. So I just had this vanilla protein powder on hand right now. So that's what I'm using. But I've linked all of my supplements in the description box below that I'm currently using. I do also take collagen. That's about the only other supplement besides greens powder, reds powder, and protein powder that I take. So I've have linked everything below, and I do take a prenatal vitamin still because I'm breastfeeding. But yeah, blend everything up, and then I will portion these out with my little sous chef with me in the kitchen. Look how cute he is, oh my gosh, into 16-ounce mason jars and stick them in the freezer for later this week. So that pretty much covers everything in this week's vlog. If you enjoyed meal prepping with me, please be sure to give this video a like, as well as subscribe to my channel so you never miss an upload. I've been racking my brain on what to cover next, and we're going to be traveling some this summer, so I'd love to share with you how I'm staying on track while we travel and vacation. So if you think that's a good topic or you're interested in that, please leave a comment below. All right, you guys, I will see you next time.